Hey, what's going on, guys? Can everybody hear me okay? You just leave in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. Welcome, anybody. Can you guys hear me? All right, cool. You guys can hear me. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining the first episode of the Raw Intuition Health Show. The goal of the show is to, help you guys discover the truth, the raw truth of how to create sustainable health and happiness in your life. We're actually having a little technical difficulties. I'm not seeing that our guest Damon is on the call, so I'm still trying to get him connected, and so we might have to just play it by ear until he gets here. But yeah, so today, very exciting. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I can see you guys in the chat. So I'm using a new program here. I don't know what you guys think of this background, but that's what we went for with the first episode. I'm supposed to have the chat up in front of me, but it's not working. So we'll just make do with this new program that I'm using here. But yeah, thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, I'm excited to start this new show with you guys and build a little community here on Sunday mornings, for me anyways. And we're going to talk about various different topics regarding health and lifestyle and just overall well-being. So yeah, today, we love you too. Carl, that's you, Carl, right? Carl, Fruit Scotland, good to see you here. Yeah, so also, you guys, today, if you ask a question for the live Q&A section, we're going to be giving away an autographed paperback copy of 5-Star Salad Revolution. So I'm going to get that out to you. Unfortunately, it's only for US residents only. I apologize to my international friends out there. Tessa, sorry. Unless you're in Boston already, Tessa. If you're in Boston, I'll send it to you. But yeah, so US people, if you ask a question, I hope everybody will still ask a question, but if you want a chance at winning the free autographed paperback copy, I'll mail it to you if you win. All right, so let me take a look here. I'm just going to be right back, you guys. I just need to see if Damian is trying to get on here or not. So give me just one more second. I apologize. All right, guys, thanks for holding on there. We got Damian here on the line, so we're going to bring him in. There he is. How's it going, Damian?
It's going really well, but it's really hot here in Spain. It's incredibly hot.
Oh, yeah. It's hot here, but probably not. Oh, sorry, getting some feedback here. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry. I was having some feedback. All right. Yeah. Oh,
I'm back. I think I'm back.
you're back?
My internet. Oh my gosh, we're having a lot of technical issues here.
No, no worries. No worries. All right. Does everything sound okay out there, everybody? In the chat, just let us know. Put a 1 in the chat if everything sounds okay. First time, this is gonna happen, so no worries. All right, guys. Can't really see the whole chat. Okay, there we go. All right. Here we go. All right, so today we're talking about how raw food altered our realities. All right, so I know both Damian and myself have had quite dramatic transformations in our lives since getting into this lifestyle. And so I thought a great first topic would be to talk about how living this lifestyle and how eating fresh, raw, living foods can completely alter the way that you see the world, the way that you see yourself, and just how you think. And so Damian was a perfect guest to talk about that. So I invited him on, and I'm so gracious that he accepted. And we're going to have a great show. So sorry we're getting started a little late, but better late than never. And I'm excited to dive into some of these topics with Damon. So yeah. All right. Should we get started?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm
Perfect.
also very excited to, especially about this topic. Something that has been present lately for me, and I have been having some realizations of how the diet has been affecting me on so many other levels beyond like the physical. So
Yeah, 100%. 100% me as well. Um, and so I figure how we're gonna do these shows is, so both Damien and I will have like three key points that we want to share, and like how raw food has specifically altered our life. So we'll go back and forth with our points or with what we want to discuss, and then for the last segment of the show we'll do a Q&A, and you guys can ask your questions, and we'll answer as many as we can get to, and then we should then we can wrap up. That sound good? Cool. All right. Yeah, Damon, do you want to start, or would you like me to start?
I can start. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
You know, the first obvious thing that comes to my mind when approaching this topic is obviously the physical aspect of health, diet, the physical body. That is the most obvious to the eye thing that happens, right? So for myself, I lost a lot of weight. My skin improved. Um, I feel like I look so much better than I used to years back. Um, and obviously, that's gonna help anyone feel better about themselves, feel much more confident, feel, I think even when when we're talking about the physical aspect and being attractive, being sexy, you know, it's not only about the physical attributes of like what's like how someone looks like, right? Like
Yeah.
having like certain physical features. I think more than anything, it's confidence, of course, but also this um, healthy look, like this healthy glow that people have. In the past couple of weeks, I've been traveling a lot, and usually I live in a small village, so I don't get to see that many people,
Mm.
right? But I was spending a lot of time in like cities and at the airport, and when you're at the airport, you kind of tend to stare at people sometimes. You see people, um, and you see patterns. And I was with a friend, and I was realizing how some of the people who kind of stand out, um, how you can directly tell that they take care of themselves, that they just love themselves. And and that's what I feel like, the majority of people at these places, like at the airport, I wasn't seeing that. Most people felt somehow dull, I don't want to say dead, like, but like there was something about them that was missing, like some kind of um life force just flowing through them. And that's what I feel like the raw vegan diet, in general, positive diet changes helped me as well to bring that more in me. Because I was very self-conscious about the way I looked, about my weight, about my skin. When I started losing my hair, I don't know how that was for you. We're both here uh, in the same situation with our
Yeah.
hair, but
Yes.
I'm totally fine with that right now because I can see, um, that the other aspects of um, what it means to be sexy and attractive kind of come forth. And it's not all about that, like having a great hair and like perfectly white teeth and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder what you think about all of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's actually one of my points as well. Um, I mean, that was going to be more of like, well, yeah, I'll use that as my first one as well. So, um, I completely agree. It changes the way that you really for me it changed the way that I saw myself, and I was putting so much of my value into superficial things like my hair. I loved styling my hair when I was younger, and like we would play tag, and the girls would always like mess up my hair. So it was like an identity, a piece of identity for me. And when it started to fall out, I started to really be concerned that that's why people liked me, or and that's what made me attractive. And
Yeah,
so losing that was very dramatic, or very traumatic for me, um, in the beginning, and really for uh, almost a decade it controlled my life. It was just a huge part of what influenced what I chose to do. If I went to I had a friend who had a bachelor party, and they went paintballing, and I didn't go to the paintballing because I didn't want to wear the headgear and mess up my hair and then go to another event. So I wanted to skip that so I could go to the other event, without messing up my hair and things. So it was a very psychological challenge for me, and getting
yeah,
into raw foods and bringing in um the hydration, the fiber, reconstructing my gut microbiome, and just the energy that's in raw food. I call it the God energy. It's what you pick the food, and it's like it's
yeah,
got a charge in it. Like a cell phone after you have it unplugged from a charger. It over time it just loses that, or when you cook it, it will lose that. So I really do think that there is that aspect to raw food where you take in the vibration of God or of nature, and that helps to balance out your hormones. It helps balance out your thought patterns, and it really opens up your awareness to some of the thought patterns that you might be falling into, and just your internal environment even more so than the external. Although that is something that really changed for me as well, is the external environment that I was looking at, which I will get into in my next point. But yeah, so the thing that I had written down was that it freed me from a victim mentality, and it really put a perspective on life where I had so much more power than I believed I had in the beginning. I grew up with health issues like asthma and eczema, and I was told that I didn't have any nothing I did had any impact on that. And so I just listened to the authority figure, the doctor, that told me that I would have to take medications. And, I thought that I had no power in that situation until I got into this lifestyle. And I did a juice fast, and I just saw, oh, wow, I'm not wheezing anymore, and the patches on the insides of my arms and the backs of my legs were going away. And so it just opened my eyes to the power that I have over what expression I have in life and what my health is like. So, yeah, that was a huge altering of my reality in that sense.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Something very common that happens, and kind of relates also to my second point,
Mm.
in a way, because that's that life force energy. I call it like that, life force energy in fruits and vegetables, especially raw ones. And it can even be measurable. Like, you've probably heard about like angstroms and what was it, biophotons. Uh, these these things are measurable. There are just new things that are coming up in science, but they can be measured, and all of that is to me another essential nutrient that is not seen as that yet. Hopefully, it will be soon. But people who base their diet on mostly processed foods that are completely devoid of these vital nutrients, this life force energy, they just don't have any vitality. They don't, their bodies get sick. All of that, just kind of everything just falls kind of like a sandcastle, just like a domino effect, one thing after the other. Um, and so with more of this life force energy just flowing into your body, your cells getting recharged, your body cleansing itself, eliminating old waste, all that mucus and all of those things. I feel like we have senses in our body, sensors in our body that uh, catch on very subtle energies all around us. Our perception of the world, reality, just gets so much more finely attuned, and we can perceive energies that we normally wouldn't, And I feel like that's the things that very sensitive people are attuned to. It's just so uncommon to talk about these things, and people uh, like call this like some woohoo energies, whatever vibe, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
to me, these are very real things. I can experience them now. And so what I want to say with this is that um, through these experiences, through getting more aware and perceiving the subtle energies of this reality more, you really become a much more spiritual person. Like you can see the connectedness of everything that exists. You don't see any difference between people and animals, trees, plants. Everything is connected, and you can see that very clearly when you are eating a fully raw vegan diet. And for sakes of clarity, at the moment I'm not eating fully raw. I'm introducing some simple cooked foods here and there. But I've had my fair share of staying raw for longer periods of time,
Yeah.
uh, months on end. And it was when I really felt the most sensitive to these energies. And I want to leave it there because that kind of connects to my third and last point. So yeah.
Yeah. Again, I mean, that leads perfectly into my next point as well as, um, really, I'm just going to reinforce everything you just said. I think that, intuition. So what I had written down was it intensified my connection with my intuition. It definitely did. And, I think we all have connection to intuition. I think intuition is really just it's the voice of our soul, right? It's how we hear the true authentic, feelings of our soul. And I think our soul is what connects us to God. And so if you lose that connection to your intuition, which most people have really dampened down that connection with, processed foods, animal products, drugs, unhealthy lifestyle habits, they don't have that connection where it's strong enough, where it's going to be able to influence them to make the choices that are in their best interest. And so, I think when you do connect to that, you start to see the world, and you start to see yourself, and you start to see others, like you said, differently. I used to go into the grocery store, and I would see steak, I would see milk, I would see eggs, I would see boxed foods, but that I thought were foods. I considered these things food. Where once
Mm.
I reconnected with my intuition, and with that, that perspective, of really more of a perspective of, you know love and compassion, but it really just lifts the fog from, your perception of the world that you don't even know is there until you get out of it. And once you're out of it, you start to see things, your reality starts to reshape, sometimes in a way that is, pretty uncomfortable for most people, which is why I think a lot of people try to avoid this lifestyle, because they maybe intuitively know that it's going to cause a lot of, disruption and uncomfortable feelings for them. And so they try to protect themselves. They try to protect their current paradigm, and, try and just get by, in a comfortable way without having to face some of these things. And so, yeah, like I said, I would see steak, I would see milk and eggs, and then now when I walk into the grocery store, I see, body parts, and the result of abuse and slavery, and, things like this, right? And I see packaged things on the shelves. 95% of things in the grocery store I no longer even see as food, right? Now it's just products. And it's like such a mind shift that, again, most people don't want to face. But once you start bringing in all of the energies and the nutrients, and, everything within the raw foods, it almost makes it impossible to ignore. And so you have to face these things, and eventually, if you do, and you allow yourself to go through that, break through that cognitive dissonance, you start to really appreciate the fact that, what's actually going into these products. You start to really, you don't want to ignore it anymore, because now you have that more loving, compassionate perspective, where, if you don't have to consume the body parts and the products of exploitation from animals, then why would you? You wouldn't want that done to yourself. So why would you ever want to do that to anybody else? And on that note, it also changed my whole perspective on animals, like animals and insects, and basically anything, but especially animals and insects. I used to work in a meat market, and I remember thinking, as I was cutting chicken breasts, I would think like, oh yeah, this was an animal running around in the field. So I knew it was an animal, but I still never really understood, or I never connected that it was a sentient being. It was an individual, right? And so with all the information out there today, all the videos that people take of wild animals, or farm animals even, where they show all the exact same characteristics of the animals that we keep in our homes and when we call pets, right? They all have the same playful nature. They just want to, love their families. They want to, live a life free of pain and suffering, and just, do their own thing, just like we do as people, So there's really no significant difference between humans and animals in that regard. um, and so once you put that together, and you understand the fact that there's absolutely zero need to consume animals or their byproducts to be healthy long term, and there's more than enough evidence to show that that's the case. It opens your compassion and your awareness to the fact that you can live a life of health and happiness without exploiting others to do it. Nope, I think you might be muted. I still, yeah, I think, you might have got muted somehow. I'm not sure.
How about now?
Oh, there you go. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I saw some comments before that my sound was not great, so I connected the microphone, but with the microphone it doesn't work at all, so I don't know.
That's okay.
Anyway, I hope that that's better.
Yep.
Yeah, as you were speaking, many things were coming to my mind. I grew up on a farm in Poland, and we had our farm animals. We had, chickens, dogs, pigs, cows, horses. We had everything. And I remember my grandma sometimes, grabbing a chicken and just taking an axe and chopping its head off. And I remember also sometimes some pigs being slaughtered, and like their screams, and how they still kept moving after they were slaughtered. Um, and it was presented to be such a normal and necessary thing back then. And I really feel like back then it was such a trauma, and it is for anyone, that I just dissociated so much that I really didn't feel anything about it, or like on the surface at least. But deep down, when I connect with those memories, I know that there is like a lot of like pain and grief within me, like there's disgust and anger and all of these things. And many people who grow up in like very traditional ways, like I did, where eating animals, raising animals, eating animals, killing them, and processing them was necessary in order to survive, because they didn't really have the means to do that, And
Yeah.
it's still the case for quite a few people in the world, in today's world, and
Yeah.
I have to acknowledge that too, of course. But for the majority of people, especially living in the West, and um, the majority of countries, like that's not a necessary option anymore. We have an abundance of plant-based foods that really makes it obsolete. And like you said, there's enough evidence that we don't need animal products to be healthy. Um, but I do still feel that there is, in part, some of that um I'm missing the word right now, but this feeling of, or like not feeling so much compassion or so much emotion when I see animals being mistreated and slaughtered or whatever. It's not such a strong feeling like what I see many people experience
Mm,
for me, because I saw it at such a young age, and I just disconnected
yeah.
from that moment. So um but as I cleansed my body, as I was eating more raw and so on, like I started making the connections. And so yeah, there's a lot of that. And to me it's still when I imagine having to kill some kind of animal in order for me to eat it, it's just repulsive, disgusting. I couldn't do it. Like I, like what you were saying, animals to me are cute. They uh they're pets, they're friends, they want to have fun. I couldn't take a life away from that animal
Hmm.
if I had to. So it's I think the reason why we experience those feelings towards animals, that feeling of cuteness and wanting to pet them instead of just biting into them and like ripping them apart,
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about our nature. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just some food for thought there. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely agree. And we can look, especially at children and see how much they
Yeah.
love animals. They never try to attack the animal and bite the animal. So yeah, it's so strange to me that we, at the same time, I kind of understand exactly why, but it's strange that we, look at our bodies. There's nothing that indicates that we are a carnivore or even an omnivore, really. Maybe like there are people around the world that where they are located, it does require them to consume animals. So obviously we can't, there's nothing to argue with that. But for anybody probably watching this show or anybody in a westernized, country
Yeah.
that has access to a grocery store, I mean, there's just so many plant-based options out there now, and it just makes, yeah, the whole thing unnecessary. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, my my next one, and this one is maybe I don't talk about this one quite as much, but what it did for me was it also inspired my creativity. Um, it and my imagination, right? So in so many ways, like I've written books now. The first book that I wrote was a children's book called Vegan Adventures with Barnyard Friends, and I drew all the pictures and made all the mazes and stories and all that. And that was one thing that I did as a child. Was I used to make mazes with my friend Brad, and we would make mazes like every day we would make a maze, and we made this big maze book. It was like 200 pages, and it was just mazes that we would draw, and it would always have these creative things that you would do. And I always loved to draw and write poetry and stories and I loved writing song lyrics, all these different things that I really enjoyed doing. I kind of wanted to be an inventor when I was younger. When I grew up, I wanted to invent things. And so I lost that, going through my teenage years and into my 20s. I lost that. And then now that I've been eating this, these raw foods and living this lifestyle, I've reinvigorated that creativity and that imagination to create things like the book and come up with different concepts. I love to take information and turn it into like either an acronym or some sort of like like not a logo, but a graphic of some sort to help people grasp the information in like the easiest way possible. So it's just it reignited the that childlike imagination and creativity that I once lost. And even as much as just like doing this show and even having a YouTube channel, or I teach raw food classes in person at different health food stores. And it's so it changed my imagination as far as like creating things, but also my imagination of who I could become. I went through school thinking, like, I went through college thinking I literally just wanted to get like a 9 to 5 cubicle job. I was like, oh, that would be easy. Like, I could just go to work. I would do what I need to do. I'd go home. That was like my vision for my adult life, which is crazy to me now. And funny enough, that's exactly what I landed in. That's what I created for myself. And so without even knowing it, I created that life for myself. And now that I'm more aware and I'm more tapped into my creativity, and my imagination, now I see so many other things. And so I was able to see myself as somebody that could help other people learn how to live a healthier life. I used to be terrified of public speaking. It mortified me to think about getting up in front of people and speaking. And it was one of the most difficult things that I had to overcome. And it was through this lifestyle that I was able to do that. It changed who I saw myself as. And so I think that's part of the imagination, where you get to create the life that you want. You get to create, who you become. And the way that you see yourself, the way that you use your imagination to create yourself and to create your life is unlimited. And once you start bringing in the raw fruits and vegetables and getting that energy into you reignite that childlike creativity and imagination. So what do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with that. It was the same for me, just like what I was talking about before. It makes you a lot more sensitive to everything in life, right? And um, your your body. Something, by the way, that you mentioned before, like you said, that eating a raw food diet just kind of clears the fog out, right? That phrase reminded me of how I described my first week as a raw vegan.
Mm,
And it felt to me exactly like someone just lifted off a heavy veil of my whole being. Like, I feel like I was always just kind of like, like a huge heavy blanket on my whole being, just weighing me down,
yeah.
just like seeing life like through a filter, And when I went raw for the first week, because the first week is kind of like you have a big contrast between what you did before and what you're doing now with raw foods, right?
Yeah.
Right now, I don't have such a big contrast, so it feels normal to me. But I remember even colors seemed brighter. I didn't have that brain fog that I used to have, that
Yeah.
heaviness. And so I was so much more creative. I like energy was flowing through me. I didn't know what to do with myself. And this kind of brings me to what I wanted to talk about, because I feel like this is many people's experience. Once you become so sensitive to everything in life, you become much more aware of all of the things, like the beautiful things of life, trees, animals, all of that seems like nature seems much more beautiful. You feel beautiful in your body, but you also, that expands your consciousness in all directions. You see the positive more, but you also see the negative more. And we're all just trained, since we're programmed since childhood to focus more on the negative things. And um, that for me triggered uh, triggered me a lot in a lot of ways. You know, the
Yeah.
world sometimes seemed overwhelming in many ways. Like that kind of corporate job, you know, or I never worked in that, but I was working in a kitchen when I went raw in a restaurant. So I was cooking with meat, I was cooking with animal products, and I went raw still. It was a great experience, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes you so aware of the things, you know. In the kitchen, it's such a toxic environment. Typical restaurant kitchen. All the machines, all the noises from like the extraction cap, from the fridges, all the motors of the whole equipment just working all the time. The smells of the rancid fryer oil just everywhere, and also the people that tend to work in restaurants tend to be extremely stressed out, and so it was heavy for me because I loved cooking. I still do. It was my creative outlet. It was
Yeah.
it was what I was doing. You know, kind of like what you mentioned before with your hair. That was my identity.
Yeah.
And so when I went raw, it was like someone just took that away from me. It was what I was doing also oftentimes to kind of soothe myself, calm myself down, soothe my nervous system down. Um, I love to cook when I was stressed out. You know, it was my creative outlet. And when I took that away, it was like, holy shit, what's happening? Right. And so that unveiled so many things in me, so many negative patterns, trauma resurfaced. And since I was a child, I used to go for food uh, looking for comfort, right? So
Yeah.
when I was stressed, I would eat like so many people experience. And this became a lot worse when I went raw because it was so much more overwhelming. Um, the all the cooked foods, processed foods. Although I never really ate too many processed foods in my life, um, the dopamine rush that you get from those foods is not the same that you get as when you eat natural foods, just pure and unadulterated foods.
Yeah.
Um, and when we're looking for comfort, we're looking for that stimulation. We're looking for, in a way, that satiation, that fullness, something that really is like literally takes energy out of the whole nervous system, out of the, I always confuse them. No, the sympathetic nervous system.
Yep.
When it's, your body's in stress mode, sympathetic nervous system, and it forces your body to go into rest and digest mode, into the parasympathetic, redirects the energy into your stomach. And so I was addicted to that kind of pattern, and that uncovered in me a really bad relationship with food. And for a time, it made it even worse. I developed an eating disorder. I was bulimic for a while because all of this was so overwhelming. Food was my only like cushion, emotional cushion, right? But at the same time, it's let me catch my thoughts for a second
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Um, so food gives you that dopamine kick, right?
Yep.
Food gives you comfort. Food is stimulating and it's soothing at the same time. Um, and everything in your environment seems much more overwhelming, much more stressful. And so at the same time, as I was doing the raw vegan diet more and more and researching more about what cooked foods does to our body, I just couldn't deal with the fact of, I wasn't able to control myself. I was binge eating, and so when I binged, I then became overwhelmed with the thoughts and anxiety of had a good streak of eating clean, and now I broke that streak. This food is going to do all of this in my body, you know, it's mucus forming, it's gonna stop the detox process, it's gonna do this and that. And so that was like so overwhelming in my head that the only release of energy that I could do is to force myself to throw up.
Mm.
So and this became a very difficult pattern to overcome. But yeah, I'm grateful now that that happened, because it uncovered so many things for me. My relationship with food, you know, we see things as negative, we see these things as bad, but in the big scheme of things, when we zoom out of the experience, we can see things for what they are, you know, and that was a lesson for me. That was a moment for me to address this issue that really was bringing me down so far back. And so, yeah, I'm very grateful for those moments, even though it was very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is powerful, because that I think we've seen how many people, I feel like people come into the raw vegan lifestyle with eating disorders. I think that happens quite a bit, and they're looking for a way to do exactly what you just said, is to find a way out of it, maybe even subconsciously. But what happens is, if they don't have the tools to do it in the best way, I think people conflate the raw vegan diet as being the cause of the eating disorder. And sure, people can, eat raw foods in a disordered way, but I think your experience, and that would actually be a great show to do another show on just that topic alone, with you, to talk about this topic, because it's something that ever since I've gotten into this lifestyle, 12 plus years ago, that's been a topic of concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's this lifestyle, this diet is very attractive for people who have some tendencies of eating disorders, or disordered eating. It's not quite the same, you know.
Yeah.
And it's true, and people make the connection, and they think, like, I'm going to give the example of like what was on the news a couple of weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
with this Russian woman who died in Thailand.
Yep.
They made the point of her eating a vegan diet. Many of the news articles, they weren't even mentioning the raw aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying vegan in general, but this woman had a very serious past of anorexia. And the more I deepen into the subject, the more I research to understand it better myself, to understand my own patterns and everything, the more I can see how so many people in this community, in the Robin community, bring their own habits in a disguise of doing something healthier, better, healing, when it's repeating the same toxic old disordered patterns.
Yeah.
Like, you can see this a lot in the juice fasting, water fasting communities, for example, right?
Yep.
Like, they can be great tools. They can really help sometimes, but if you do have a bad relationship with food, they can really trigger so many negative patterns for you, and that's why I used to talk about this so much more, and but it's a very present topic, and yeah.
I think if you're up for it, we could schedule in season 2.
Absolutely.
We could do another show on this topic.
Absolutely, would love to.
Great, thank you. All right. Well, should we? I know we got started a little late. Do you have a few extra minutes to go through a Q&A segment?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, we're gonna transition over now to the Q&A. So any questions that you guys want us to answer for you, hopefully regarding this topic, altering your reality and that sort of thing. But any questions you have, just put them in the chat, and we will get to as many as we can. And then, like I said, for you guys, anybody that asks a question, there will be an opportunity to win an autographed paperback copy. U.S. contestants only. Sorry, but yeah, I'll pick somebody to get the book. All right,
Sounds
so
awesome.
yeah.
I love your book, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we could do. There's so many shows that we could do together because salads.
Yeah, I
you're
know.
just as much of a salad master as I am.
Yeah,
So, I know you love to make your salads, and you have a great course on how to make salads. So, do you wanna give yourself a plug there on how people can
sure.
get into that?
I'll use my 5 minutes of fame. Yeah, I just actually created it about a month ago. This new course, I call it Salad Mastery Course, and um, I've been wanting to do this for so long because often when I post my what I eat in a day videos on Instagram, the questions that I get the most is, can you give me the recipe for that salad? And to me, sometimes those questions sound a little bit stupid, no offense, but it's literally how I see that is me throwing a bunch of ingredients into a bowl and mixing it all up, and that's it. That's my salad, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I can see people's points and perspective because I have many years of experience as a chef, and then then raw vegan, and so I understand how different ingredients work together, how understand the different techniques and how to combine them, and it comes in an intuitive way to me at this point. But I can see how many people don't have that, and so yeah, I created this course with that thought in mind, and I teach so many different techniques, salads for every day of like how do you want to eat it on a daily basis, something more fancy, like to surprise your guests, or when you want to treat yourself, that's also very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. And it's more than recipes. It's really, I teach you how to make a proper salad, seeing the different components. I know you talk about that in your book too, like, kind of the anatomy of a salad, like how to combine different flavors and textures, and what kind of ingredients to find it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Nice. Cool. So where would people go
oh yeah,
if they wanna sign up for that?
best to head head to my Instagram
Okay.
and go to the link in my bio, or go directly to my website, Sana, SANA, holistichealth.com/store. You can find it all in there.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, guys, I highly endorse Damian's course there. It's terrific, and even if you already have the book 5-Star Salad Revolution, that would just deepen your understanding of how to make a delicious, filling, nutritious salad, and you get all the recipes, the dressings, and all that stuff. So definitely worth checking out. I'll after we post this, I'll put the link in the description box down below that people can check that out. All right, so I am trying to scroll through the chat here. I don't know.
I see some questions at the bottom of the chat right now.
Okay, yeah. You want to see?
So Sherry is saying just cleansing for healing. Linda had that question. Yeah, we mentioned that a bit before, but do you want to answer that?
Sorry, which one was it?
Juice cleansing for healing from Sherry. It's towards the bottom of the chat.
Juice cleansing for healing. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, juice cleansing for healing. it's definitely a tool that you can use. Like I said, I use juice cleansing. I did a 10-day juice fast when I first got into this lifestyle, and it was super effective for me. It really helped me out. I don't think it's the only way, but I will say that the closer, so when we're looking at healing in itself, the body heals itself, right? And so in order to allow the body to heal at the most efficient rate, water fast, it just, we can't have anything going through the body. The least amount of things we have running through the body, the more energy the body will have to heal. So you look at water fasting. That's why water fasting is so effective for so many things when you do it correctly. And so juice fasting is just another, there's a spectrum, right? So water fasting would kind of be at the very top, and then there would be like juice fasting, and then it'd be like, I think it would then be like fruit, just whole fruits and vegetables, mostly. I go back and forth. Mostly fruits, probably, and plenty of leafy greens as well. And then and then just a whole food plant based diet and lifestyle. So whatever your diet is, the lighter it can be, whether it be just juice fasting or smoothies even, or just whole food plant based. There's that spectrum of how much you're giving your body to process, and then heal after that. And so I think juice cleansing is an option for people, and I support it. But I do think it's important that kind of, I think Damon mentioned that earlier, is if you get into these things without having the foundation of knowing how to eat when you're not fasting or juice cleansing, that's where people get into trouble, is when they just think the juice cleanse or the juice or the fast is going to solve all their problems, when they don't have that understanding of just how to eat and live in a healthy way outside of that time frame. So that would be my answer, is that you want to for sure have an understanding of how just to eat in a healthy way before you start relying solely on fasting and juice cleansing. What do you think?
Yeah. I think you covered everything pretty well. So
Cool.
yeah, I agree. I agree completely.
Awesome. All right. Okay, let's see. Herbs and smoothies. Tessa asked, what do you think about that?
I think greens, leafy greens and herbs are two, besides fruit, of the most important things that we should be eating. And that, unlike fruit, people are not eating enough of. And that's why also I created this course, because it's really like people don't know how to make a salad taste good,
Yeah.
and most of them will use maybe like some iceberg lettuce, or some romaine, or some form of lettuce, some variety of lettuce, but they're missing out on the spinach, arugula, kale, lamb's lettuce, mustard greens, watercress. I don't know, so many different things that you can be eating, and that is so important because I think I really believe that diversity in the diet is very important.
Yeah.
So specifically about smoothies, and also she asked a bit later, should I be using herbs in my salad? I think mild tasting herbs in a smoothie, they can be great. Like I've made smoothie with basil before. I made them with arugula, which has also very peppery, very strong taste, and they're delicious. I made smoothies with um parsley before. Cilantro is delicious in smoothies, like mango,
Yeah.
cilantro. It's really nice. I wouldn't use things like onions, like for example, chives or something like that. That's too
Right.
strong to mix it with fruit. But yeah, I think they're great. And in salads, I really believe that they add so much savoriness to the dish. And it helps you to cut down on the salt, or eliminate it completely if you're still in that period of transition. because they're so rich in minerals and the aromatic component. And I literally put handfuls of fresh herbs in my salads, not just like a sprig of, you know, parsley or basil or whatever, but like literally almost like a full bunch of dill, especially I love dill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a whole complete game changer. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm 100% on the same page with you on everything you just said. I think, yeah, cilantro and mango, like you said, is a great combination. Um, I don't, let's see, for the herbs that I usually use in my smoothies, which I do like to add herbs to my smoothies, I think I probably use cilantro, basil. I think those are the two main ones that I put in my smoothies. I don't think I've ever done dill in a smoothie. I don't know. Have you done
I
dill in a
wouldn't
smoothie?
I wouldn't do dill, I think.
Yeah,
It's
I don't think.
too savory
Yeah,
and doesn't, yeah, I wouldn't do that, I think.
right,
I've
right.
done dill before in juices, in green juices,
Yeah, me too.
but I also don't tend to like that too much. Dill, I think, goes very well with very savory dishes, rather than sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so yeah, I'm a big fan of putting select herbs in there. I think it's a great addition nutritionally, and like you said, the aromatics and the flavors, and yeah, really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Linda says how is the best way to heal your liver for more energy? Want that one, or do you want me to?
I can see that. You can go. You can go. Start. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it anytime somebody wants to, in my opinion, but anytime somebody wants to heal a specific part of their body, that's not exactly how it works. But yeah, if you believe that your liver is congested or whatever, if it were me, what I would do would be, focus on a holistic, healthy, whole food, plant-based diet and lifestyle. You want to make sure you're hydrated. I would say I would be on a low-fat diet, and especially if you're eating animal products, I would stop eating saturated fat and cholesterol. Um, I would eat a big salad every single day with dark leafy greens and herbs. You can everybody talks about dandelion being important for liver health. You want to make sure that you're getting plenty of fiber. That's why those salads are so important, I believe, because you want to be able to bind to the toxins that are being dumped into your GI tract, from detoxification just naturally, and pull those out. And so if you're not having sufficient bowel movements and getting sufficient fiber into your gut to bind to a lot of the toxins that are trying to get out, you could reabsorb that, and that puts more stress onto the liver, and the whole, the rest of the body in general. So, yeah, I would say eat plenty of colorful. You want to get in those antioxidants, the polyphenols to help,
Yeah.
and then yeah, low fat, fiber rich, hydrating, and make sure that you're, doing all other things that are health, exercise, getting sunshine, fresh air, and look at your environment as well. I would say look at synthetic chemicals in
Yeah.
your environment. Maybe if you're putting on lotions or perfumes or laundry detergents, there's a lot of different things to look at when it comes to just overall health, but especially the liver health. So those are some of the things I would focus on to really help support the liver and increase energy levels.
Yeah. Adding to that, you mentioned briefly in the beginning, but I want to really stress this part because many people, we are kind of programmed by medical system in general to think in terms of, what's good for this, how can I fix my liver, my I don't know, gut, whatever it is, whichever part of the body it is. The thing is, everything is connected. We can't just focus on one part without focusing on others. And the best way to approach this is holistically, is look at the whole system. And in most cases, in the majority of cases, minor things or even big things like, I don't know, let's say cirrhosis, like an extreme case of some kind of liver disease, right? They would get solved easily by just changing your diet and not focusing on, like a specific ingredient, specific food that is good specifically for liver. Like dandelions, they say, they're good for the liver, but they will be great for the kidneys, for the intestines, for the brain, for everything, for every single cell in the body. So, like you said, we have to approach this from all of these different levels and look at eating a healthy diet in general, just a balanced diet, eating the rainbow, literally. I have here this thing to my mind. Yeah, diversity, variety, eating all those colors, looking at the environment, that's very important. And yeah, we need to change our perception of how we think about disease. It's not just one organ, it's everything else.
Yeah, well said. Totally agree. All right. Jennifer wants to know, what is your go-to salad on a busy day?
Let me find it very quickly. On a busy day, I mean, like I said before, I just take whatever I have in the fridge, chop it up, and put it in a bowl and dress it with a basic dressing. But let me find specific recipe. Yeah. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
It says garden salad, right?
Nice.
What I usually do is a base of greens. I like to mix different things, and I always tend to have different things in my fridge ready to be used. I love cucumbers, tomatoes, that kind of basic thing. I sometimes, if I feel like having something more crunchy in my salad, some cabbage or some carrot. Cabbage also adds a lot of savoriness. And then what I go to for like my basic dressing is literally so basic that it has nothing else than some kind of nuts or seeds. Like hemp is usually in there, sunflower seeds, cashews, almonds, walnuts, blended with water, and that's it. And I usually make a big batch that will last me maybe 3 nights. And I put it in the fridge. And that is my basic dressing. I don't put any herbs, any spices, anything. And then I just balance out my salad with the different components, and this is also what I teach in the course, because that's what is important. Like I balance out the first I have my base of greens and other ingredients, and then I have a balance of sour, sweet, the aromatics, salty, and I balance those out with maybe some apple or maybe some dates chopped up in the salad. The sourness will come usually from a lemon or a lime. The fattiness will come from the dressing itself, from the nuts and seeds. And if I want my salad a bit extra salty, I might put some wakame seaweed or dulse flakes or something like that. Yeah, usually I'm fine without it. And then a lot of herbs, like I said before. So it's really basic. That's what I do on a busy day. That's what I do almost every day, really. And depending on what ingredients I have, I might change some things. I might change the nuts I use also for having more variety. Yeah. What about you?
Nice. I'm intrigued by your dressings. I put herbs and spices in all, pretty much all of my dressings. So I'm gonna try one of those. So it's just nut or a seed and water.
It's just like a basic dressing to have that creaminess that will kind of bind everything together in the salad.
Okay.
And then you will add the other components, the spices, the whatever you use in your dressing in the salad. But
Okay, cool.
I do this because then I can save it for a few days longer in the fridge, right?
Gotcha.
And with the dates, lemon, the spices, it will spoil faster.
Right.
And so it's fresher this way. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great tip. Thank you. All right, so yeah, for me, gosh, same with what you just said. I just kind of whatever we have in the fridge, I just throw it together in a bowl. Um, usually, so if it was a busy day, I think the fastest thing for me is just to I'll take a head of romaine. Romaine's usually pretty easy to rinse off quickly and chop up really quick. So I'd say I would take like a head of romaine. I would take like a bunch of or maybe parsley or cilantro. I've been doing a lot of cilantro lately because that's what that's what I've been finding at the farmers market. I would do like a half. I would just cut that bunch in half, and I would use the other half in the next one. But I would do a little cilantro. I would do carrots, onion, tomato, cucumber. I just chop it up quick, toss it in. I made a little fancier of recipes in my book, just because for me, after I've been doing this for so long, it's like it takes very little to satisfy me in terms of what I eat. Like I eat very simply, and I'm completely content with it, and it makes me feel good, and I really enjoy it. Whereas somebody getting into this lifestyle and how I was, years ago, I did want something a little more exciting, a little more satiating in that sense. But so I put, some nice recipes in my book in terms of giving somebody that's not used to just eating like a salad for dinner, a way to make it really satiating. And then for my dressings, I will have to try Damian's way, but what I've always done is I'll do just like three tablespoons is like the standard amount of nuts or seeds that I put into my dressings. So I'll do 3 tablespoons of a nut or a seed, and I also like to kind of rotate those, and I'll go between like sometimes Brazil nuts, sometimes hemp seeds, sometimes pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. I'll rotate and do different ones. And then like half of a lemon, and I'll peel off only the yellow outer skin, and I'll throw the entire pulp and everything into the blender. I don't just squeeze out the juice. And then I like to do a couple dates to give it a little sweetness, and then I'll just throw in whatever herbs and spices I'm in the mood for. And that's exactly, I mean, whether it's a busy day or not a busy day, it's very simple for me to put that together. And so that's my go-to meal any day, really, for dinner.
How long would you say that it takes you to just whip up a salad like that?
I usually take my time when I do it, but if I was like really focused, it would take me 5 minutes, maybe, like less than 10 minutes anyways. It's very quick. And that's one question I get from a lot of people is they're like, I got to make a salad every day. Like they look at it as a chore. They're like, how long does it take you to eat that? And I'm just like, what does it matter? Like, this is nourishing I look at it as it's an opportunity to fuel and nourish your body. And, like what's more important than taking some time and making it, more of like a meditative practice to make your salad, enjoy your salad, and know that what you just did was a very beneficial thing for your body.
Totally. Yeah, it's the same for me. Less than 10 minutes. And especially like the thing that I explained with the dressing, just making some like bigger batch to have for 2, 3 nights.
Yep.
It just saves even more time, from blending and making the dressing to washing the blender also. Like I don't feel like washing the blender always. And so this saves me a lot of time.
Yeah.
And also something I wanted to add extra, you mentioned satiation. Sometimes I also feel, some salads, I might have some mung bean or lentil sprouts,
Yeah.
and they really make them much more satiating. They have that extra protein, and so it's a lot more satisfying for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, let's see. What raw meal would be satiating as cooked comfort foods can be?
Mm. Well, I would say even with raw gourmet, like dehydrated stuff, the feeling in the stomach is just not the same. It's not quite the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, raw dehydrated gourmet stuff is what comes to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
The sprouted mung beans and lentils, they're not dehydrated, but they are a lot more satiating. So I would also add a lot more of those in my salads towards the beginning, because they are a lot more satiating, upping a bit your levels of fat in the beginning. I think it's just totally fine. Make a dressing a bit more than 3-4 tablespoons of nuts or seeds, if that helps you, right? Um, uh, yeah, raw dehydrated meals are probably the most like cooked food like
Yeah.
level of satiation that comes to my mind.
Yeah, totally. I would also say so in my book 21 Day Raw Transformation Program, I put in what I call big batch recipes, and these are recipes that you basically make a big batch and it lasts you a few days, but they're more dense. And so I in terms of like a healthy satiating meal, I would say still do your best to center it around a salad, because that's going
Yeah,
to help with the digestion. If you're wanting something more dense and maybe more gourmet, I still think that having a significant amount of leafy greens and centering it around a salad is going to make you, one, you're going to get that satiation, but you're not going to get as much of that hangover like I get anyways when if I eat like some really dense gourmet raw food the next day, or even just later that night. I'll be really thirsty. I'll just kind of feel sluggish. So it's almost like a hangover from eating something so dense. And usually those are like heavy in nuts and seeds and things. So
yeah,
um, but with the big batch sides that I call in the book, it's something like my raw intuition chili. I think that's a really great. It's dense, but it's still hydrating and satisfying. And if you pair that up with a salad, you know to me, I think that's super satiating. And so yeah, that would be just what a little tip that I would say is, regardless of which type of, if you just want to go to like a raw food restaurant, or make something a little more dense and gourmet, then still do your best to include a good amount of greens in with that to help
yeah,
you, process that as best as possible.
100%. Yeah. Um, I don't know if I have the same experience with raw gourmet. I mean, I personally can't really overeat on those things.
Mm,
And when I make them, I base mine on mostly veggies.
okay.
So the amount of fats in there is not as much bigger. I do have to drink a bit extra water, of course, it's dehydrated,
Sure.
so it's different. But yeah, like you were saying, making a big batch, like here have meatballs or falafels or burgers, and
Yes.
have those in the fridge. They will last a good week, even more probably, dehydrated in the fridge in a good like tight closed container, and have them, dedicate your Sundays to make a really nice big batch for that, and make a salad with it. And I think it's really the best. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Is that book available on your
Yes.
Instagram as well?
I have it ebook form.
Okay.
I'm not, I don't have the paperback available,
Okay.
but yeah, ebooks are there. So you
Nice.
can find it in the same link that I gave before.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Definitely check that out. Because, yeah, if you can find ways to make more gourmet food, raw vegan dishes in the way that Damien is talking about, where it's, it's more vegetable based and it doesn't give you that hangover, then why not, right? I mean, that's just going to make the lifestyle more enjoyable and delicious. And yeah, so definitely check out that book because that all sounds amazing. And Sherry said Damien's zucchini fries look amazing. And I would agree. I've seen those on Instagram.
Don't have those in the book, but
Okay.
yeah, you can find the recipe on my Instagram anyway.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. All right. Let's see.
There's a
Slide.
very interesting one here. I see. I have a hard time finding ripe fruit. Is it okay to eat just veggies?
Mm,
You want to take that one?
sure. So I mean, some people do just, stick with mostly veggies, but personally, I do think I mean, of course you have to, you have to be practical with what your personal situation is. If you don't have great fruit where you live, then you just got to do the best that you can. Um, and eating more vegetables is never, I don't think, a bad idea. So you can definitely use like if you're not able to, if you can't get enough fruit, I don't see an easy way to stay raw. So I would say utilize whole starches like potatoes and lentils and beans and things, so that you're still feeling satiety, you're getting the calories and all that. And again, continue to I'm just going to be a broken record here. Just keep eating those big salads. At least make your dinner a big salad, and if you want to have those cooked foods to replace the calories from the fruits along with that, that's going to help. um, and a lot of times people don't realize, I know for me, I used to just stick with one grocery store. Again, it's going to depend on where you live, but if you live in an area where there's multiple grocery stores, I would say do a little scouting around. If you live, especially in the US, there's Asian food stores, and they usually have some great fruits there, that you don't find in just a typical grocery store. And yeah, just do your best to look around and maybe even speak with the produce employees that work at these stores. Every grocery store that I've gone to, I've always seemed to make good friends with the produce people. And if you can get to know them and kind of let them know, like, try and get some advice on how to win the fruit, what fruits they have that are the best. There's little things like that that you can try, and you just got to do the best you can.
Yeah, exactly. I think that nowadays there's very few places in the world where we really get such bad quality fruit, or not any at all.
Yeah.
But even in the coldest places, we get bananas everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, Citrus fruits also during the winter, they're everywhere now. Apples, pears, obviously everywhere also.
Yep.
And you can get also frozen fruits like berries and mangoes, for example. Um, and those things that I mentioned just now, those are my staples throughout the winter. Like I go for months on those things for my breakfast and lunch. And like Matt was saying, increase the amounts of greens for, I think, that's very important when the quality of the fruit or the variety of the fruit you're getting is not enough, because nutritionally they might be a little bit more deficient, I think. So bringing up those levels of greens, that will help immensely. If you really can't find those, like Matt says, yeah, cooked foods is the way to go. Like do as much raw as possible within your capabilities and availability of produce. But evenings you could do, some cooked starches and some salad to go with it as well, because that will also help the digestion. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Well, I think that's the last question that that I can see. So, I mean, unless you saw any other ones, did you see any?
I didn't see any others besides maybe starch-based diet, but I feel like we kind of answered that just
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
Sweet. Well, this turned out, it started a little rough, but I think it went really well, and I think we gave some good tips, and it was fun to interact with everybody here. So thank you, Damian, for being here, and thanks everybody for joining. I do want to make sure to announce the winner here of the book. So I was just scrolling through the chat here and seeing where my mouse here landed, and we're gonna go with Linda. So Linda, if you're in the U.S., I would be happy to send you this very book right here in my hand, and I will just send me an email to matt@myrawintuition.com and just give me, let me know where to send the book, and I'll sign it for you. You can let me know if you want me to say anything special on there for you or address it to anybody, and I'll get it out to you. So congratulations, Linda.
Yeah, congratulations. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
cool.
And I want to say I'm honored to be like your first guest in this new show. I think it's an awesome idea, honestly. And
Thank you.
yeah, we had a rough start,
I,
but
yeah.
I think went great.
Yes.
And I hope that everyone that was here with us live, and everyone who's watching this replay, um, yeah, has had a lot of insights and has enjoyed what we shared here.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I'm appreciative and grateful to have you as the first guest. I think you knocked it out of the park. So I really appreciate all your wisdom that you shared, and the tips and tricks, and again, everybody, I'm gonna leave the link to Damian's course and his ebook that you can pick up. If you're interested in that, I think that would be a very helpful resource for anybody in this lifestyle. So yeah, thank you, everybody. I think that wraps up our first show. So again, I appreciate everybody spending their Sunday with us. And next week we'll have another show, same time, 11 o'clock Central Time, and I'll put out the details for that show in my newsletter as well as on social media. So just keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that's all we got. So thanks again, Damian, and thanks everybody else. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye, guys.